Comrades, I am Admiral Andre, and welcome back once again to Kerbal Space Program. Today is a very momentous day here because we will be doing the first test of our space shuttle. It's morning again, which I think is very fitting, so we've come full circle now. We started in the morning and now we are back in the next morning. So in one single day we've built the space shuttle, although in reality several days have passed because I've done some other experiments in the background, not related to the shuttle. At any rate, I know we still haven't looked at the cargo bay properly yet, but that is of course customized to a very large extent depending on the specific payload. So that will be something we will look at once we are actually launching something in the cargo bay. Of course, today we'll be basically doing the Columbia launch, the STS-1, just to see if the thing can make it to orbit, and so no payloads involved there. Anyway, comrades, I'll see you in the spaceplane hangar one last time, and then we can prepare. Right, comrades, so we are back again, and Perseverance is almost ready to launch. There's just a few things I'm wondering if we could look at quickly. There was a comment I received from Strax Gaming, and I appreciate that, saying that the nose of the external tank is a bit too pointy. Now I'm wondering what can we do about that. I had an idea before I started this video, but it might be a very bad one. But let's just see if we can make the fairing curve out a little bit. Of course we won't get a nice smooth curve, it will still be angled, but maybe it will at least give a better appearance. So we'll say edit fairing. Now in this case I want to start going in already. Let me just turn the volume down. I keep forgetting to do that before I start recording. Now you see it does jump quite a bit there, so I can't really do it gradually, but let's start there. Oh, it doesn't even want to allow that. Oh, it's because of the not, it has to first have a small straight section there, otherwise it clips into its own fairing base, which is a very strange phenomenon, but there it is. So let's try that, and then like that. That's a bit better. It just, now the thing is, it looks like it's curving inward there a little bit. So let's see again. I know we tried moving the nose cone down before, but let's try again. We don't care what it looks like inside there. Let me just get further away so this nose or fairing can show. Oh, it's almost there. It's almost there. I don't know. That does look a lot better, I have to say. But this doesn't make me happy, that curve that's going the wrong way. So let's try editing it again. Now why can't I select it for some reason? Oh, we're in the wrong mode there. So edit fairing, and I just want to undo that. So let's move it a bit higher and just as far as it will go. And then in again. Now that's going to be even worse. So we want it to go sharper first. Let's see, like that. Now if it's going to close is another question. Is that a bit better? It's a bit better, but now we're undoing our progress here. I think we have to move this out first and then try again. Now we're back where we started. No. So what is it that we're looking for? It has to go in a little like that and then in further. That's not too bad. At least now that curve there is not too obvious. And I can live with that. I hope this is a bit better. I think it is. At least it doesn't give us that complete straight line there. The only other option we could have had, of course, was the Where is that now? The Kerbal S3 S4 adapter tank. That's the only adapter that fits onto a 5-meter part. But that's also a straight edge, so it's not going to give a good appearance either. I like this nose cone here. That's the roundest one that we've got. The other ones, if we go even to a smaller point, then that's going to look like the SRBs there. So I think this is good. So thank you for that comment. That actually does help there. I'm not sure if I want to move that nose down a bit. Let's try. See, there's still that little bit of a gap there. That's better. There we go. That's perfect. I think that's as good as I can make it. Now the other thing was, a little while ago on an earlier video, 420 Ninja said, this thing about the external pipes there on the engines, we can try to resolve that if we just, now I have to think, the tanks here have to be in mirror symmetry, I think. But now I have to be very careful that I'm not going to undo all of our progress here. So I'm just going to save this, so we're happy with all of this. What can we do about this? What can we do? This is attached to the engine plate, I think, but so is this now. Well, we can experiment. Let's take this off first. Ah, that's the other problem now. You see, it's definitely this. So if I now say 2 times symmetry, and this is mirror, you see it's not going to go out of mirror, it is in mirror. So what we want is radial, I think. The problem here, let's just do an experiment quickly. So we'll take the swivel again and we'll just hold it on the side of something, anywhere where it looks like it's going to attach. Of course, now we're not going to find such a place. I'll just reload the shuttle so we can do now whatever we want. Let's just say this and 2 times, but then with the radial symmetry. And what happens then? That's still the opposite. Interesting. And if I go back to the mirror, there's a mystery here and I want to solve it. So now we're back in mirror. Still the opposite. What's happening here? Because I know that should be possible somehow. No, that's definitely the opposite. Okay, let's try again. Now we're back to radial. So obviously the engines will also be in radial because the thing they are attaching to is also in radial. Although, no, you see this one is up, the other one is down. I can't change the mode if the thing that it's attached to is in one specific thing. So what happens if you see now the one goes up, the one goes down? That's a problem. So how are we going to resolve this problem? I don't know what's wrong with my voice. The big issue here is also, of course, these tanks, or at least the struts that they are attached to, must be in a mirror symmetry. Otherwise, it's going to sit on the opposite side of the shuttle there. So obviously it has to be like that. But then we can't change the mode for the tanks or for the plates or for the engines because they follow whatever orientation the original part has. But now even if I do that, it doesn't solve that issue. So that part is clearly now in mirror. Going back to radial. This is behaving very strangely. Maybe it's because of the spaceplane hangar. Now if I turn this one up, the other one points down. And this is definitely in a radial symmetry. So we take this again, we press R, we go back to mirror symmetry. And we try again, and it's still that way. It doesn't change it. The one is down, the other one is up. So I'm not sure if this is going to help. If someone has a solution to this problem, then I'd be very interested to know why it's behaving like this, even though we changed the mode here, the symmetry mode. Oh well, I guess it will have to stay that way for now. The thing was, I was also considering perhaps going back to another kind of engine, but we can't use the thud, we know that one. The Terrier is not going to work, its nozzle is way too small there. I think we're just stuck with this one. Just the pipes, but what would we do with the pipes anyway if we could do something with them? Let's load the craft up again. Ideally, I think what I would have liked to see by moving the rotating the stuff is to put this pipe somehow into, or at least partly into, these Oscar B fuel tanks, because that will at least hide it a little bit. It'll still be there, of course, but I'm not sure. This is a problem. It's a big problem, it seems. I'll consider that before the next recording, comrades. I'll play around with that. I haven't done that yet. I thought I would do that on camera to see if it will help there, but now I'm unfortunately not seeing what I was hoping to see. Oh well, maybe someone can advise there. Then, of course, the cargo bay. The cargo bay has a very curved interior space, but we see we already have that to some extent based on the sort of walls there. So we don't have to line the thing with these radiator panels. In fact, I'm probably going to take the bottom ones out there, because if we have various things like, let's say our payload has antennas and RCS ports and all sorts of things, it might clip into this. So we want as much space here as possible. But that's another thing I'll consider. I'll try filling the whole thing up with radiator panels just to see what will happen. But I think the big thing now is just to do the flight test. Let's just see, is there anything more that I wanted to do? I can't remember now. I was thinking there might be. Let's just make sure all of these are empty. These are all empty, 100%. Then these also are empty, but they don't really have to be, but it's fine, we have more than enough fuel. The wings are empty, we don't need the liquid fuel. That will be good for the Buran, because we can put on the 4 jet engines that were originally planned for it. I'm not sure, there's still a lot of fuel that we need to take out of the main tank there. That's the other thing. Although right now, because we're not carrying a payload, and I don't think STS-1 did carry a payload. I think it was just a systems test mission. So if we have a look here, even with a full tank, we still have a thrust to weight ratio prediction of 1.63, which is actually not bad, but we can take out this bottom one. That gives us a 169. Take out this one, gives us a 176. Let's take out one more. 183, that's quite a very powerful thrust to weight there, but of course it would depend on what payload the shuttle was carrying. In this case it's none, but we don't want it to be too powerful. So the next thing, of course, to do is to change the priority of the tanks here. So we have made sure to tell the hydraulic detachment manifold to enable crossfeed. Now, okay, that one is a 20, so they're all 20 here. So what do we need to do now? We need to make it a higher priority the lower we go. So even though I'm not using these tanks now, in case somebody else wants to fill them up, I'm going to increase the priority. So this will be 20, let's make it 30. Then this one will be 29. That one 28. This is a very tedious process, but you only have to do this once, luckily. That'll be 27, 26, 25, 4, 3, and so on. 20, wait a minute. That was, no, that's 3, that's 2, That's 1, and then that's the 20 that we used to have. Of course, there's no fuel up there. So now it will burn upwards. So it'll burn the fuel on the bottom first. That will help with the center of mass and the center of thrust there. However, now we have to make sure our torque situation is looking good, which it is very much not looking good. Well, let's just see, is there anything more that we want to add? More struts here maybe? I'm not sure. Strictly not necessary. No, it looks cleaner like this, I think. Well, let's do the flight test, or let's at least first move to the VAB. So I'm going to save this one last time here, and then such a lovely feature that we can just switch over. So of course here I will save it as something else. Let's just put it in the correct configuration here, or at least the orientation. Then I'm going to change this name now. So if you're looking for this specific file, then this will be Perseverance right there. So that is the file that you are looking for. Now if I just move this a bit further, now we can start to work on the whole thing here. So very interesting thing with a Kerbal Shuttle. When you start your launch, you don't want your engines to be at 100%, even if you have a full payload, because it will still push over the shuttle towards the left from our perspective here. You want the solid fuel boosters to begin slightly, or at least, you know, not just even tilting it towards the east there. You at least want to go straight up. So you'll see what I mean there. You'll start throttling it up to sort of change the pitch of the craft. So you'll actually use the throttle there as a control for the pitch. Now let's see, what do we need to do? The first thing is the main engines. The main engines are the real thing. Now we're not going to mess with the solid fuel boosters. Oh yes, there was one thing. I'm wondering if it's worth it though, because that's going to mean we have to basically restart the solid fuel boosters. This is an idea that came to me yesterday. I was thinking, what we want is, we want this solid fuel rockets here to burn for about 2 minutes, ideally. The only way to do that, of course, is to put the thrust on them to 50%. But that, of course, will not give us a healthy thrust to weight ratio when we take off, especially with a full payload. So I was thinking, what about if we put 6 of them at 100%, because we have 8 in each of them now, so 6 in each at 100% at launch, and then 2 at 50%. That will still give us almost as much thrust to weight as we would have had, but it will burn for a full 2 minutes. And of course, by the 1 minute mark, when the 6 rockets run out, we'll have lost such a great deal of mass here, and of course on the main tanks as the fuel is burned, that those 2 solid fuel boosters at 50% will be enough to keep the thing going. So that's an idea. Maybe we should try that. I've never done that before, because the real thing was segmented anyway, and it would have differential thrust depending on where it was in its burn. So obviously at the very start it would burn immensely strongly, but then given the geometry of the fuel inside, it could change. Let's go back to the VAB. Oh, I can't help myself, comrades, forgive me. I'm always looking to build a better mousetrap. Now let's just see, this will mess everything up, but luckily we can leave this everything here now. The problem is these little rockets on the side. Oh well. Oh, we don't even have to, they're still attached to the thing. Well, that's a happy surprise there. I was convinced they weren't. No, but we started them on that tank and moved them, of course, so we don't have to worry about that. So okay, we will use the, let's just see, this has to be the radial symmetry. No, it's not going into radial symmetry because tank here is in mirror symmetry mode. So how do we solve that now? Without taking the whole thing off. I think we will just have to, comrades. So we have saved all of this. I don't need to do that again. Let us actually take this off. Oh, it's painful, I know. Sub-assemblies. Go back to the solid booster. Delete that one. New craft. Don't save. Give me a thing, anything. There is a thing. And then open up the sub-assembly again. Give me the solid booster and place it like thusly. Now, this is still in the incorrect thing. Actually, I just want one of them again. Hopefully that will help, because I've placed the booster now in radial symmetry. So now I want our friend the kickback again. Gonna have to flip it around. There we go. So we want 6 times now. So that is like that. And then of course we just, should we wait? No, we shouldn't wait. We should put that in now. Otherwise it won't be able to be placed. Mumbling. What am I doing? Is that the right thing? Yes. So here we just want 2. I hope that will be enough. Because at the end of the day, these boosters must still be able to not only lift this whole booster segment here, but the rest of the stack as well. Anyway, we'll see. They're still very powerful, even at 50%. So we'll put them at 50%. That gives us 2 minutes and 5.6 seconds, which is very close to what the real thing actually achieved. So now we just have to play around with this whole thing again. Of course, all the same things apply. Don't want anything sticking through there. Okay, I think that looks like it used to look. Now, okay, those are still there in a straight line, straight-ish line. It was because the other one met there in the middle. This one meets there. Maybe I'll play around with that a bit. But that's fine now. We just have to get this one in as well. What am I doing? Why are you attached there? So they're all there now. I suppose it will have to be here to be more accurate, I guess. Doesn't matter. So F and put it in there and like that. Are we seeing something there? Yes, we are seeing something I don't want to see. Okay, I think there again this is a mess of nozzles, but it's one nozzle. Our engineers are clever enough to build one solid fuel booster of this size. Actually, also I was thinking now this is not correct here. Even on its own, but we can see, okay, it's because of the attached fuel tank here. This booster on its own will make a formidable rocket in its own right, I think. If we take the nose cone off and put an upper stage on here, we could easily send the Apollo to space, I think. Probably the CSM there. I guarantee you I can do it. With 2,600 meters per second, that is superb for a first stage. Anyway, so this will now burn as we want it to burn. So hopefully, even with this tank here, it still has a 2.16 thrust to weight ratio, so it will contribute thrust to the stack. The problem is, of course, all these empty tanks are still very heavy, but again, there's nothing else I can do about that. So I'm happy with that. Of course, we still have to put the struts back on, but I can do that on the full stack, otherwise we'll have the same problem again. Let's just toy with this. Can I have my view? Thank you. I think this one is not angled properly. And then this one has to move in. Okay, so the question is now, do we make it conform to the shape here, or do we put them in a straight line? The real thing, I obviously had one nozzle, so it would have been in a straight line, but I think let's try that. That's not going to matter too much. A straight-ish line, it would still have had a big curve here, but it wouldn't have had this dip in the middle. I think that's fine. Or is it? No, I want the grey lines to line up. Why do I do this to myself? They must line up, they must. I want my ducks in a row here. Actually, many years ago when I was learning to drive for the first time, my instructor told me, you like to have your ducks in a row. Indeed I do. So I think that's better now. Let's put the booster back into the sub-assembly here. Solid booster, delete, and load up the shuttle again. Now this will be the tutorial STS shuttle MHE again. Now dump these old-fangled boosters. There's no such a word as far as I'm aware. You only have newfangled, but there it goes. So solid booster back, and it should just be able to attach at the same position there. I'm hoping. Because we did not change the location of the manifold. Oh, come on. When you're dealing with this kind of stuff, sort of lag at the wrong moment is never healthy. Well, I think we did move the real thing, or the real thing. I'm getting confused now between the Kerbal one and the real one, and what's happening, I don't know. But the original one, we also had to move this down, so I think that's good. Oh no! Not with the snapping tool on. No, it's not gonna go far enough. Alright, never mind. So why is it upside down then? Will wonders never cease? I guess not. Okay, let's complete this again. It's a good thing we did not put struts on here. That would have been a nightmare to do again. Okay, as long as those bolts are exactly in line. I demand perfection-ish. Obviously, we can't be too perfect in... Oh no, you're kidding me. No, what did I say about perfection just now? Ah well. The work is its own reward. There, is that right? That's right. Okay, now let's do it again. So, again, exactly on there. That's exactly on there, and then obviously we don't need to worry about the protrusion of the boosters here because we never moved the hydraulic manifold on the tanks itself here on the SRB. So this thing is still beginning its curve right by the tail there, and we still have this problem here. I wonder why. It looks like we moved it. Oh, it's because we just put it there and then moved it. That's why. On the other one, we first moved it and then put these struts here. So, do it again. I also put the struts on the outside because we're going to get rid of the outside. This is negligible in terms of weight, but as far as I can see, the first strut part that you place, and that's totally wrong, is where the strut really is attached. Because you will never see part of it left behind after it attaches if you put it first on the SRB. So it's about there, I think. And there, I can't get it straight. It flips around, so we'll just have to live with one of them. And that is, again, if we just have a look, in line with the nose cone, still inside the nose cone, and then the booster curve begins at the nose cone. So yes, and that on the top looks much better. So very, very good there. Now, what else? What else? Save, of course, save. Let's just see if we need to... Of course, we need to strut this stuff up again in here. So... doesn't really matter where exactly we do that. Oh no, no, I need to see what I'm doing. Now, why are you not cooperating? Cancel. Stop. Turn the snapping off. Did that even work? No, I'm gonna have to get a different view on the matter. It's because of the separate placement of the last two boosters. That's why things look a bit different now. Very odd. Why is that not attaching there? Let's throw more on. Okay, I guess it is sort of attaching. The more the better here, because the thing is definitely going to blow up if we don't do this. Speaking from experience. And this now. Miracles never cease. Is it that one? Yes. Let's try placing it here. Anywhere, really, just to get some extra reinforcement. That'll work. And now something else is sticking out through here. What the heck? Struts get very confused by all of this mirror and radial symmetry. Okay, comrades, I think that might work now. I'm hearing a strange vibration here. I wonder what's happening. Possibly my pop filter is not behaving. Anyway, let's save again. Hopefully this is now good. So, have we got... No, it's not good. This happens every time you move stuff. So, the parachute's on there, and then, of course, all of the boosters must be on the bottom. But all of these... Oh man, now there's going to be so many of them. These small separatrons are all on the wrong stage now. Still there. Good grief. Okay, save once more. 2 minutes 5, that's perfect. So, save again, I'm paranoid. Let's go back to the VAB. Right, comrades, put the thing back again, and now we can finally begin working on the torque, getting the torque right. But I'm very happy that we did this. We can see the difference here. There's a very big difference. It was 183, I think. Now it's 165 without adding anything else here. That's just from losing 50% of the thrust on 2 of the boosters. But in the long run, it might help us. Hopefully. I'm not sure how the craft will behave when we just have 2 boosters burning at 50%. We'll see. That's why we do this test. But there is a very real chance of death here. I also looked up this whole thing about the automatic landing on the shuttle. That only happened, or the possibility for that only happened in 2006 after the Columbia disaster. I read somewhere the whole story about that disaster, and there was no way for mission control to land the shuttle or to direct it through the atmosphere. It could somehow, I think, tell it to begin the deorbit, but after that it had no control. But there was some kind of upgrade then that was made in 2006, and I think they actually kept it on the space station, so they could install it into the shuttle if necessary, because then of course the shuttles only went to the space station. Something of that nature. So we're not going to put a probe core in here. That's basically what I'm getting at. Now, let's see, where were we? Well, on the very first stage we have a terrible torque here, so the thing is going to flip almost instantly. But let's start from the top. So we want the OMS thrusters to be as little torque as possible, to have as little torque as possible. So let's play around with them. This is also the thing now, doing this and then having this in radial symmetry might not work because they need to move in concert here. Now, why are you not showing me? It's not making any appreciable difference there. Could it be? No, because it's supposed to show it after detachment. Only 10 seconds. No, we can see there's a problem here. It's because of the engine plates again. The Kerbal Engineer Redux doesn't recognize the engine plates. I actually have to see if there's a newer version available yet. That's why it's not giving us stage 1. It's only S2 there. So it's not going to be accurate anyway. In that sense, we'll just have to guess and hope for the best. But we do have the reaction wheels, so that should help us there if we are wrong. Unfortunate about that. Oh well, with the new Engineer Redux we'll be able to see that. So then of course we have that. Now this is the big thing. I am very much of the opinion that we want S3, that is now after the detachment of the SRBs. We want that torque to be as low as possible. The first one can be a bit higher, so if we have to make a compromise when we're just using our engines, we want the thing to be as balanced as possible. So let's toy around with this. 700, okay. 500, 489, that's good. 200, back the other way. 46, okay, 46 is good. I think we can live with 46. Hopefully. Of course, you'll have to do this every time that you put a different payload on the shuttle, because the mass will definitely shift around, especially if you add different levels of fuel. So just be aware of that. Kerbal Engineer Redux, even if it's out of date, is still absolutely invaluable. Now on the first stage we have 3,500 torque here, which is really bad. That's very, very bad actually. But that's where I said we use the throttle of the SMEs to control the orientation of the craft. That's what it comes down to. I think we're ready to do the test. I'm just going to save us Perseverance again. Perseverance, save once more and overwrite. We'll see what happens. This could also now be different because of the extra length of time that the SRBs will burn. Let's just go to the launch stability clamp thingy and just put 2 of them on. You want to put this as low as possible. If you put them up here where the wings are and this thing swings on launch, it's going to break the wings of the shuttle off. Another possibility is to put them on the wings here, like that. That could work. Again, as low as possible, just above the flaps. I think that's it. Save one last time. Let's pick our brave crew. It has to be Jeb and Valentina. There's no choice. It has to be them. So one more thing I want to do is just to turn off. So custom 1 will turn off the shuttle main engines. Toggle and toggle. Because then we are ready to ignite the orbital maneuvering engines there. What were the other things again? 10 was for the flaps on the back, yes. Okay, save again and I'll meet you on the launch pad, comrades. Let's hope we don't have a disaster on our hands. Something bad is happening. Good grief, what's happening to the physics here? It's like it doesn't quite recognize the attachment to the wings there. No way to auto-strut those. No, we'll have to revert. I put it on the tail now, just one of them. Of course there's so much mass here, this thing is very wobbly. But as long as it settles down, we could even put another one on the back of the tank there. Okay, it's settling down. That's one thing. So there it is, comrades. There's Perseverance, at least as it stands now. I'm wondering, what do you think about the top of that external tank? Does it look a bit better at least? It's more round, but it almost looks like a minaret now or something. I don't know what the right word is here. It's curved because of that inner curve there. But then again, I like this more than the straight line. I'm not sure. I can try messing around with that a bit more. We just need the launch now. So let's go and F5 this just in case. Now, do not throttle up your engines to 100%, especially with an empty payload. I think even 50% is fine, because otherwise it's going to push it over. We saw the imbalance that we had on the first stage. That's definitely not good. That's why we need to throttle down here. Now let's hope here. I'm not going to mess around with the camera tools. I'm still trying to learn them here. This is all confusing to me. Pathing and dogfights and stationary and all of that stuff. But it did make for some interesting views in that preview video. But let's go, comrades. I'll definitely hope for the best, and I will do the countdown, and then we will see, comrades. We will see what happens. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's going. You see what I was meaning about the thing drifting? In this case, we want to start pitching it back. That's why you don't want the engines on 100%, otherwise it would be uncontrollable. Still a need to just correct the roll here. Just want to get it nice and stable at this point. Not gonna worry about the degrees and all of that. Okay, but I'm doing it anyway. Jeez, I can't stop myself. Okay, we just want nice stable flight. You'll see at this point what's going to start happen is, you can see it there, the pitch is already starting to shift. The solid boosters are pushing us over now, which is fine as long as you're moving at around the speed of sound-ish. You'll see if you do the turn too early, you're definitely not going to be in a good place. But now when it starts pushing us like this, then you throttle up the SMEs. You see it pushes us back again. That's what I was talking about, using that as our maneuvering. But let's lock to pro grade now. It's always the easiest thing. Without that, this mission would have been nigh impossible. I remember the days before we had that. Okay, we're looking good, and this wobble is always there. They've burnt out now, so we are definitely not moving as fast as we need to be moving. So throttle to 100%. I think we still have too much fuel. Oh man, I miss the days when the SAS would just lock and not move. Now it's rocking back and forth, back and forth. I think I see one more thing I need to change. That's so uncool, man. Why are you doing this? Why are you rolling around like that? Just lock again, please. Doesn't matter how much reaction wheels you have, how many of them you have. The system is never locking anymore. I miss the old days. What are you doing? Why are you moving us around like this? Why are you playing with my feelings? And we should have dumped these a long time ago. Good grief, this test is not going well, comrades, because I'm just focusing on the maladjustment here. Let's not even bother doing anything about it. Let's just get into an orbit. What are you doing? Why aren't you just keeping it still there? I think we'll have to bring the gimbal down on the engines, because you see any change and they just go gimbal 100%, and then it has a full counter reaction and all of that again. And of course I need to turn those flaps off. They're not supposed to do anything other than be for braking. That's also being a pain right now. Now I think at around this point we're supposed to roll over. I never researched that yet, so I'm sure someone will be able to tell me, but I think so. This also helps us with the stability a bit, because now we're burning downwards again. Still doing this wild gyration. You're not Elvis. Thrust, no, gimbal to 50%. You see, it immediately has a calming effect on it. As long as it's not overwhelming anything, then you can definitely bring the gimbal down. Okay, this is not as good as I was hoping. Now it's calming down because we're exiting the atmosphere as well. But we're going a little too shallow here, but it's okay. Definitely 2 degrees off here. That's not what we should be. First launch, comrades. And at the first launch we just don't want to die. That's the big thing. Let's not go that far down, please. Try and keep us there. It's actually doing very well to keep us at the position, but you see, as soon as we get there, it starts wobbling again. Please, developers, bring us back to the days when the SAS actually did what it was supposed to. Oh my good grief, stop right there. We're already in an orbit. We still have fuel as well. We want this tank to deorbit, so we're going to dump it now. Well, that was sort of then an efficient launch, I guess. We're here, almost. That's one thing, but this madness. We've got to find a way to solve that. If anyone has ideas, please throw them at me. Please, I'm gonna implement them, or at least think about trying them, if they're reasonable. I think the first thing has to be turning the gimbal down, but we can't turn it down too far because then we're going to have problems during the initial phase of the ascent. Anyway, let's see what the OMS can do now. Just keep us roughly there, because now we have to keep in mind we should be pointing above the prograde, because our line of thrust is going straight through, you see, beneath where we are pointing. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's just turn that off and burn. It's unbalanced, but we're able to, oh, that's more than enough. Now it's gonna wobble back and forth, or not so much, but still. Okay, it's something. I'm well, not surprised we didn't blow up. I'm happy that we didn't blow up, but we could do better. So first of all, we're gonna have to try changing this. It has to be a bit more down, I think, because we don't have a payload. I'm not sure though. When we do the final orbital insertion, we can see which way it's moving. Okay. Big thing is that wobble, back and forth, back and forth. But we are here. Perseverance has paid off, comrades. Now let's just go back to prograde. That view is something I'll never get tired of. Now, in this case, it doesn't really matter if we do point to the prograde. All that's going to do is push it slightly down. What we can also do is limit the thrust here, because the OMS system wasn't super powerful, but I would rather have it be too powerful and then possible to turn it down instead of having it too weak. So we'll put it on 50%-ish. Now, why are you doing that? Oh, it's because the other one is not on a 50%. That's strange. Why wouldn't you do that? Why would you only change the one? Oh well. Not too much of a problem. We are already in orbit. The other thing that you might have noticed is the real plume mod doesn't work for this engine for some reason, the swivel, because this is an old engine. We've had this for a long time, but you'll see the plume actually starts around the engine bell there, not inside it. You see, It looks like the engine is on fire there, but that's just a graphical glitch from that mod. Let's just get us into a rough orbit. It doesn't matter too much now. That'll do. That'll do. Oh yeah, I didn't even... What happens? It pushes us up. So it must move a little up or a little down itself. Okay, we have to move this down. Just got to remember that for the next time. So yes, open up the cargo bay and let's go around a few times. We've made it. At least our first maiden flight is a success. Even though it was quite a difficult one. Just keep it there, keep it there, keep it there. Don't do anything crazy. Thank you. Let's turn off these flaps. No roll, no yaw, no pitch. That's all that I want, so I'm gonna have to fix that. Let's have a look inside the cabin. So obviously it's quite empty now, but if you want to ever, I don't know, maybe you were already aware of this, if you want to have a backwards view, because I can only go this far, just double click where these two windows or screens are, and you'll see the backward view, and then of course double click there and you'll see the view out the back. So there is of course our wonderful planet Kerbal, and fascinating, so nice. I wish we had these clouds and things in the stock game. Maybe one day. See, and we're back again. So we want to go back, we want to go home. But keep in mind, comrades, what I said before about the chance that we'll land on the runway being microscopic, because I'm terrible at guessing where the trajectory is going to end up. With a lifting body especially, because we have the trajectories mod, but it differs depending on the altitude that you're re-entering from. It differs depending on the lifting body itself or the wings and all of that. Anyway, let's just go to retrograde. Upside down, yep. So in this case it doesn't matter if we're pointing at retrograde or not. In this case, because the thrust is relatively low, it's pushing us a bit down, but it doesn't matter. I'll try and have a look at that. But the very interesting thing about this shuttle in KSP is, this is again the test one that I used. If you bring fuel as your cargo in the cargo bay and then you then burn it later, you can actually land this thing on the moon. You can't bring it back, but you can actually land the shuttle on the moon. I'm sure if we go to Minmus, we can actually return and land there and obviously come back again. So that would be something interesting to try. Unconventional shuttle missions. Now there's the Space Center. There is the cross. We want the cross to be ahead of the Space Center because the planet... no, not the planet's rotation. It's pushing it further. The lift is going to take us the rest of the way, hopefully. And even if it doesn't, we'll end up on land. So that's fine. Now we've burned a great deal of our fuel, but we still have... Is that accurate? 3 seconds? No, it's not, because it takes the big engines into account as well, but still 300 meters per second, which is still a lot. Now we're coming back. Let's just wait till we're a bit closer, and this is the test, comrades. F5 this thing. This may end horribly. Now close the shuttle's cargo bay and flip us around. I was looking, somebody also said I should look at the glide to... What was it? The glide to something ratio? Oh man, I'm forgetting all this stuff already. Anyway, glide to lift, or I'm not sure. Good grief. But the thing is, I read somewhere, I don't know if it was, which article it was, but it said something about 20 degrees offset from the prograde, or I'm not sure if I read that right. But I've noticed also with the test one, if you deviate too far from the prograde, you'll flip the thing over. So we have to be very careful about that. But I'm not sure how to, the messing around with the glide thing is going to be difficult because I don't have exact figures here. It's all guesswork. But we'll see how this goes, and then people can make recommendations, and hopefully we can get a product that we are happy with. And remember those faces? They're silently judging us there. Something is in the water there. I'm not sure what it was. I think it's one of our CSMs that somehow survived, or I don't know. Okay, we are here. So I'm keeping at 15 degrees right now above the horizon. Turning off. Should I turn off the RCS? I wonder if they used RCS during the descent. I'm almost sure that they would have for extra stability. Why wouldn't they? Let's keep it on. Let's see what happens. This is the test. You can hear it starting to burn. This pitch that's beneath the midpoint is of course the way that I made the thing. So that's not the forces acting on it yet. Once we reach 50 we'll start seeing the heat, I think. Yep. I'm so seasoned in this game, I know exactly what's going to happen. But now it's a mystery and the RCS is burning. What happens if I turn it off? Let's just see. Now we're getting far away from our prograde. That's about 35 degrees or even more. But the forces are not too strong yet. When I see this, the nose going up, we have a problem. Obviously it will also look like it's going up because we're moving, but you see over time it does go up because of the fact that we're descending here. It seems stable. This is of course what we want. We don't want the windows exposed to the flame, so we want it to go over. Okay, that's turned out better than I was expecting. Flames are gone, go to prograde, and it's able to do that with some difficulty. RCS system on. Okay, we might still, because this is still technically almost a vacuum, this is the very high atmosphere still. So putting on the RCS might be a necessity. Interesting. Oh well, it's not too much of a problem. Again, if someone knows, did they use the RCS during the descent or not? At least in the upper atmosphere. I would think so. Obviously the oh no, that was such a mistake. Why did I turn the SAS off? What was I thinking? I wanted to turn the RCS off. Not the SAS. Man, that's like telling the pilot let go of the stick. Okay, lock now. We still want to get over the mountains at least. So for future reference, we can go a little bit closer to the space center. If we can just land in the grassy plains. Oh, it's very iffy. It's very, very iffy. It's so tempted to flip. Let's see what happens if we turn the trim down even further. Maybe that will help. Oh no! What are you doing? You're killing me. Okay, it's not flipping. What if I let go? Strange, it's not flipping over. It's going too slowly. Okay, we're seeing some interesting behavior here. Oh yes, and that commenter that spoke about the glide ratio said that the shuttle does have a nose down profile. Now, I'm wondering, is that still what we have? The center of lift is behind the center of mass, as we saw, but it depends entirely on the speeds that we're going and the angles, and this is what I read about, that if you push it too far from the thing, it's not good. I'm not sure if we're going to make it over these mountains. You know, it will be a disaster to destroy the shuttle on its first mission, so let's try and land here somewhere. We don't even need those air brakes. That's the thing. What if I cancel the trim out again? Now what are we left with? A lot of monopropellant, a lot of electric charge, so everything is fine. Okay, we don't want to go too slowly. We want to keep the vertical speed here as low as possible by the time that we land. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on that. It's quite a challenge, but okay, F5. Okay, gears down, we're a kilometer up. 125 is still good. I think the real thing was moving faster, but it is that way. This is a nice flattish area. Let's hope we don't hit a rock. We should keep the flare up for the end, but now we're coming in already. Okay. 11 meters, 8 meters. Actually very well behaved. 13 meters and... oh no! That's suboptimal. It's the uneven terrain that's a problem. Oh no! No! Okay, F9, this never happened. So just a word of... oh, now we have trees as well. I've seen this happen before. If you reload, suddenly there's ground scatter. But anyway, so if you're doing this, just remember to save before your landing, because you don't want your mission to fail at that point. And if the terrain is not playing along, then it's not going to be good. Should also hit the parachute now. This hop that it does, I'm not happy with that. But we made it. Whew. We made it. The thing is, in one piece, it will be a heck of a job to get this back to the space center for the team here, but that's what we pay them for, I guess. So, comrades, with this very dramatic backdrop, I will sign off and leave the floor over to you. What do you think? The biggest things for me, I'll fix this flap right now after I finish the recording. The biggest things for me are the ascent, where it does this very weird rocking motion, back and forth, back and forth. What do we do about that? The other thing is, I can put the SAS off. During the descent, what's your recommendation? How can we make it more manageable, especially with this little hop at the end? I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. The glide down was actually quite good, especially the way that we slowed down and the heating disappeared and all of that. That was a good phase of the re-entry. Just this last phase is a bit of a problem. But there's where the parachute comes in, I guess. You have to activate it quite at the right time. Anyway, it worked. It worked, comrades. It's one small step for a Kerbal. So next time we will implement some of the changes and small adjustments, and then we will try to do a real mission. So I'll see you next time, and have a fantastic day, comrades. Remember, perseverance is the key word.